So we're going to go ahead and look at the way to add this piece of hardware. Today we're going to look at this little Keku AS fastener, and we're going to add that in and add the machining for the two holes and add the drawing for it and show how we can add that into a product as well. So the first thing we're going to want to do is going to go to Advanced Library Setup in order to add that product, that particular piece of hardware to our hardware library. We're going to go and add it to our project to add all of the machining, but in order to add it in the first place, we're going to do that through Advanced Library Setup. So I'm going to go and I've added a category here. I'm going to add this material called Keku AS push-in fitting. And I'm just going to copy that to my clipboard so that I can use it later when I create my 3D drawing file. Can set up any pricing or any sort of information like that, and then we'll say OK. Now, in order to add the machining, make sure that's all set up and configured properly. We're going to add that in through the Advanced Project Setup. So I'm going to say OK on the Advanced Library Setup here, and then I'm going to go and say Show OK there, and say Advanced Project Setup. But before I do that, I want to get my drawing set up and configured the way that I want to have it show up in my drawing. And so I've got this drawing that I downloaded from my hardware manufacturer, and I brought that in. I've scaled it to my current units, and so for a metric configuration, I'm going to leave this outside the database, and so I'm going to leave it in metric. And for an imperial configuration, I'm going to set it up in imperial, but in this case, I'm going to work in metric. So the X and Y origin for this piece of hardware is always going to be the point at which I'm going to place it, and then my hardware machining is going to be oriented from there. The X and Y plane of my hardware are always going to be the face that attaches to the panel, and then my Z is going to be away from the panel. And so I've got my hardware here, and I'm going to save that as the name of that item that I saved it into the hardware library with the addition of 3D underscore at the beginning. And so here I pasted in the name of the hardware that I had from my material file, and then I added the 3D underscore at the beginning. And this is in my hardware directory in my factory database graphics folder. So to check where that's supposed to be, I'm going to go Help, Browse to Microrealm Data, and then it's going to be inside of my configuration folder. And then it's going to be in the graphics folder under hardware, and I'm going to save it into that directory there. So I've set up my drawing here just so you can see how it's oriented. And so here we've got our X, Y, and Z dimensions. So X and Y are what we're looking down at. We're looking down at the top view here. And then Z, we're looking at the front view from this way. And so when we go to orient our machining, it's going to be related to that X, Y, and Z for that piece of hardware. And so here I've got 15 millimeters in Y and 32 millimeters between the two holes in X and 37 millimeters off of Z for those holes there. So the 32 millimeters are spaced equal 16 and 16, and then this one's 15 mil. So now that I have that established, I'm going to come back to my Advanced Project Setup and go into the material file for that. I'm going to right-click on the hardware and say Hardware Machine Tokens down at the bottom of the list here. So now what I want to do is add new token. I'm going to add a single drilling operation, and I'll adjust those values. So I've added my holes here. I have X negative 16, positive 16, and Y positive 15, and Z of 0, diameter of 5, and just touching for a 1 mil drill depth. Then for my second set of holes, I have negative 16, positive 16. My Y is going to be negative 0.01, so that it goes into the adjacent panel because it's in the corner. And then I'm 37 mil above in Z. So to review, here's my machine tokens here. I have this set to negative 15 after I tried it here, so negative 15, positive 0.01. And so those are the values for this particular piece of hardware. Now I'm sure that I've got this set the way I wanted to, so I'm going to save this to the template.